All right, welcome everyone to Over and Back. I apologize, we're a little late. We're just getting doing some audio issues. Evan Flood is with me. Third year in a row, we're doing the Wisconsin Boys State preview. We're gonna run through. We'll start with Division Three, Division Four and Five. We're sorry. It is what it is. We're gonna run through three quickly. We're gonna focus on two, focus on one. Go through some things. If you have any questions, comments, texts, send them in the chat. Evan, I don't. Can you see the chat? Can you see the comments at all, Evan, or no? I think
Yes. Yeah, I got him.
Okay, so I think actually need to show you. So I'll have to keep an eye on him. I'll have to keep an eye on him at all, which is
Okay.
fine. So I sent you an agenda. Let's just first talk about this. What are your thoughts? We're 2 years into this computer seeding, and we'll get into missed seeds in a little bit. What are your thoughts 2 years into this computer stuff?
Well, I think it's first off important to say there's probably not a perfect system out there. You can go to people, but obviously everyone's going to have an agenda. Everyone's going to have a bias, especially when you talk about coaches getting in the room and doing it. We've seen how that worked out before. But obviously with the computers, there are some noticeable flaws. I think is fair to say. I mean, you look at Division One, that just jumps out right away. That should be an easy fix. When you give Eau Claire Memorial the 1 seed over Hudson, who beat them twice and won the conference, the Big Rivers Conference. So I guess I would like. I don't mind the computers doing it, but I think you need a couple people or at least one person to come in and clean some things up like that. And shift things around when there are noticeable errors. I don't see any harm in doing that and kind of keeping a mixture of both systems that you had just to avoid, any major holes in it like that. And then obviously, when the computers get involved, I think the other thing you got to do is I would take out of state games completely out of the equation. I certainly wouldn't penalize
Right.
anybody for a loss to an out of state team. Now, if you want to give them credit for a win, I think that's a different story. But all games aren't equal, as we know. And when you're playing teams from Minnesota, Iowa, Illinois, wherever, it's hard for another team to compete with that same level of victory, or have a similar loss. So just throw that completely out the window would be my guess as well. And then you got to find a way to insert the strength of conferences as well, as we've seen. Another bracket that jumps out is sectional 3 in Division 1, where you kind of had some of the Madison schools getting the better luck of the draw over the Milwaukee schools or Milwaukee area schools, I should say, out east, such as Sussex Hamilton or Brookfield Central, who play these loaded schedules, and just in their conferences alone. And they take a hit because their losses are obviously higher, and they play a much higher strength of schedule. I think you have to find a way to get that into the equation too, if you're going to stick with the computers. But my ideal scenario, I think, if you just had 4 or 5 people that cover high school basketball, maybe more, maybe less, let them do it. I'm not advocating for myself. I don't want to do it, but I think that's the best way to do it. Just so you can go through these, everyone's capable, an unbiased person's capable of going through the schedule, sorting out the head-to-heads, factoring in the strength of schedules and the conferences you play in, like I said, and kind of listing each team in each sectional 1 through 16 or whatever it is. I think a lot fairer than what we've had with these two systems. I think that's the best way to do it, is just get a couple media people who have seen these teams, who understand the landscape to do this from now on. And you can even have the WIAA look over it and gotta sign off on it if you want. But we're at another spot here where there's just too many easy corrections that shouldn't be happening.
Yeah, my first thought was, can we just combine the two? Can you just do like, I'm thinking about this like during an All-Star game, right? All-Star game voting is like players, coaches, fans. Could we do half computer, half coaches? And then I thought, what if you did half computer, 25% coaches, 25%, like you said, media? people that watch these games, watch these teams, you try to get unbiased people, obviously. I don't know what that looks like on the back end, right? You've got to somehow have a voting system that spits something out, but clearly it's not right. Clearly the system is not right.
Yeah. And like I said, I don't think there's a perfect way to do it. I think, when we did it, if we do it our way, I think you'll find some things in the end where, you'd get some complaints, but this year and really the last 2 years, I think I almost prefer the coaches doing it. At least, when something's wrong, you can say, well, there's 10, 12 guys in a room battling out. You all signed off on it before you left that gym, or there was a consensus in that room. I think, at least that's the fallback you can say. With this, it's just, okay, you put it in the computer's hands and you walked away and left it as is. I prefer the human dynamic more than the computer dynamic, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, the downside, I guess, is that you have, coaches who maybe are friends, they help each other out, whatever. So I was listening to, and, look, this is not a competitive thing between any of us, WSN has a podcast with Travis Wilson and Mark Miller. So I was listening to their podcast today, and they brought up a good point. And we'll get through the sectionals as we go tonight. But they were talking about with sectional 2 with De Pere, Marquette. I think Marquette was a fair enough miss seed at 7. But if you're Marquette, you're probably like, well, shit, at least we're not on the same side as De Pere. And then I don't think anyone's beating De Pere, but like, if you have coaches involved now, Marquette coach is like, yeah, we shouldn't be a 4. We should not be a 4 or 5. We should be a 6 or a 7. You know what I mean? Like, that starts coming into play of where coaches now start clamoring for just to stay away or on a side of a bracket.
Yeah, that's a good point. I didn't think about. I mean, but you could honestly, I think for Marquette, you could probably even give them a 3.
Oh yeah, right.
And that would keep them off that side. Or even just bump them up 1 to a 6, I think, would be fair. I think I'd still be doing them an injustice based on the season they had, but I get your point, of how people are trying to, the reality is, it doesn't matter who, especially if you're already into Pierre's bracket, though, you're going to have to go through them at some point. Does it matter if you play them first, you play them last? And anybody who takes that stance and approaches it in March that way, if you're a head coach, your team's already done. Let's face it.
Yeah. But for whatever reason, I think there's a lot of schools love to say, well, we made it to sectionals. Like, we made it to sectionals. And that's like, who cares? You got your doors blown off by De Pere. Who gives a shit when it happened? But I agree. Like, at some point you got to play them, but some teams just like to say that they got to sectional. They made sectionals 5 years in a row.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever. I want to get more into sectional stuff and how we can divvy it up, but I want to do it more when we get into specific sectionals. So, all right. So we both agree there's something computer-wise coaching that can, whatever, the seating needs to change at some point.
Right.
And we're gonna touch on the subject as we go through the brackets. I'm sorry, D4 and D5. It is what it is. Well, we'll quickly do D3. And let's just run through D3. I'm bringing it up here.
Mm-hmm.
And I know I will say this, obviously, you know more about high school basketball, I believe, than I do. I will say that I'm probably a little bit more in tune with what's going on up here in the FEA, but D3, were there any misseedings in D3? I focus more on D1 because I'm the FEA kind of guy up here, but anything in D3?
Nothing jumps out to me, at least among the teams that I think can go deep and get far. I mean, it's like every other division. I mean, the sectionals are so heavy on some sides and so light on the others. You get these loaded sectionals. It's hard to, I think you're splitting hairs with a lot of these teams. Some of these teams are probably underseeded when you talk about the seasons they've had, but when you stack them up in these heavy sectionals, like a Catholic Memorial as a 3 seed, obviously they play a loaded schedule and they play a lot of Division I teams there over in the Waukesha. area, so they kind of have the benefit. They kind of get the short end of the stick. But when you're in a region with Carmen Northwest, Dominican, Brookfield Academy, Milwaukee Academy of Science, St. Cat's, who's been maybe one of the biggest surprises in the States, and St. Thomas More, it's like, what are you gonna do? But I thought that one actually. In terms of, I don't know every team obviously, but in terms of the teams I know, we're talking about top 4 seeds. I think it shook out pretty well.
Catholic Memorial, were they always D3? I thought they were D2 for some reason last year. Maybe I'm wrong.
I don't recall that.
And maybe I think they were just because they play a bunch of D1 and D2 teams.
Yeah, they. I can check real quick.
I'm not going to bring up the. For some reason,
I forget
they were D2.
So I can do this. Yeah, they were D3 last year.
They were okay. I don't know why I thought that they were D2. Again, it's probably just because of who they were playing. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I know the teams. The teams up here is, if you look at the sectional, I guess it would be sectional 2 for up here. I know Xavier and Brilliant are the 2 teams to beat up here. Little Chutes, obviously they're 2 seed, they're good too. And there's some other kids that are really good at certain schools, but I know that I think the consensus up here is that Brilliant is probably the team to beat. They went to state last year. Obviously, they got Lorenz, who's going to Wofford.
Yep.
And then obviously West Salem, I think, is by far the favorite to maybe win it all. Maybe
that would be my favorite. I saw them a couple times this year. Saw them at state last year, obviously, and they pretty much reloaded with everything back. And they're talented. I mean, this is a team I think that went to Onalaska and beat them, if I'm not mistaken. I know they beat Onalaska. Beat them in their own gym. Beat Catholic Memorial. They really challenged themselves on their schedule. Beat La Crosse Central. Played a couple games against good Minnesota teams as well. They're the real deal. I mean, they can come at you in a lot of different ways. Very unselfish team. Case in point, they got a top 25. They had a top 25, top 30 prospect, and Tamarian Henderson coming off their bench last year. I believe he starts now, but he's not even a guy that gets more than 12 points a game, and he's really talented. So they're a group that really buys in. And if I'm not mistaken, I think they handled Brilliant pretty well in that semifinal game, or at least pulled away late in the second half to kind of take that one. So I've kind of had them number 1 all year, even when Brilliant was still rolling undefeated. I know they had a hiccup recently, but I can't get that game out of my head. It's one of those, you got to see them match up again before you knock a team like West Salem off that throne.
So obviously we both agree West Salem, probably Brilliant. What do we got for sectional 3? What do we got for sectional 4?
Sectional, I'll start with sectional 4. I know a little bit about more those teams. That's going to be a war. I could see a lot of different teams walking out of there. The top overall seed is, I should say, the top overall seeds: Carmen Northwest, Racine St. Catherine's. I'm not really sure what to think of St. Cat's yet. I didn't get a chance to see them. Obviously, they got that rich tradition, but this isn't the team that won state a couple years ago by any means. A lot of different faces on that group. I think they got a couple guys that maybe saw limited action as young kids. If I'm not mistaken, but it's a whole different group. that won that thing in Oshkosh when they had it there during the pandemic. So, we're going to find out if they're for real. I mean, they went 23-1. They got some big wins. The only team that really beat them, I believe, was West Tosha Central, who's kind of moved up to a top 5 in Division II, and they're having a great year. They handled them pretty well, if I'm not mistaken. But they beat St. Thomas More by about 18 in the most recent meeting. Beat them by 10 in the first meeting. That's a team that's capable of carrying the gold ball if they get a couple bounces their way as well. Carmen Northwest can just put up a ton of points, and they're another team I think we're going to find out more about in March. Got a really good guard, Dupree Fletcher Jr. Probably a lot of people remember his dad. Was a really good player in Milwaukee back in my day. We talked about Catholic Memorial. I think it was a 3 seed. I wouldn't be surprised if they came out of there as well. St. Thomas More has the best 1-2 punch in this bracket with Siku Kone and Mari Khatri. Those are a pair of Division I prospects that nobody's going to be able to match up with. My pick, though, I think I'm going to go with Milwaukee Academy of Science. They're young, and you saw that early in the season, but the last couple games I've gone to, they feel like they're really starting to arrive. They've got guys with state experience as well. Now, they had a lot of transfers. Obviously, their best 3 players transferred to different schools after last season's run to the state title game in Division IV. But these guys got a ton of talent. They just took Pewaukee down to the wire, too, last week in a 99-95 game. So 2 really good sophomores in Devin Brown and thinking on your name, Jamarian Bateman. Maybe I'd probably say a top 5 shooter in the state among all classes, what he can do from 3. They just come at you kind of 40 minutes of organized chaos, pick you up full court, and they can defend too, which I like. And I think they're playing their best basketball at the right time. So as a 2 seed, I got them coming out of there. I mean, you look at what they've done since January 20th. Only 1 loss, and that came to Pewaukee. Beat a really good Columbus team who's highly seeded in Division III. Brookfield Academy won by 17, who's also a strong seed. These guys played a loaded schedule too, so they're battle tested. St. Thomas More, Wisconsin Lutheran, Homestead, a really good Grandview Christian team from Iowa who will be competing for a state title down there. So I like them to come out of there again and get back to Madison.
All right, I won't even make a pick because I don't know enough about these guys. I know Catholic Memorial. I've seen enough of Catholic Memorial. I wouldn't be surprised if they won it. But I saw that Academy of Science took Pewaukee to OT. I saw that. Was it last week? So I was surprised at that. But sectional 3.
I've only seen a little bit. The bottom half teams. Those teams are quietly good. Down there, kind of closer to my area. You got what I think are 3 contenders to come out of there, and they're all at the bottom. 1st seed Columbus, 2nd seed Lakeside Lutheran, 3 seed Lake Mills. I think they're all kind of evenly matched. Splitting hairs on these guys. Columbus and Lake Mills, I think there was a 3-way tie for the Capital North title, if I'm not mistaken. I'm going to go Columbus. They had the best moments in the game I saw. They got a good guard, AJ Utek, who's having a big season. They quietly have some athletes in that group, which you don't really think of coming out of these smaller schools in this area. They got some guys that can do some things. I saw them against Milwaukee Academy of Science, and I was pleasantly surprised at how they matched up in that game. So I'm going to take Columbus to get to state.
All right. Championship, are we thinking West Salem Academy of Science?
Yeah, I think we're wrong. I know. I'm going to go Brilliant.
Oh, you're going to go Brilliant.
I think Brilliant. I'm assuming assuming it's. They let computers see this too, right?
I don't know how they do this. I don't know how they do state. I don't know. I guess I don't know. I mean, Academy of Science.
I'm assuming it's going to be 1 West Salem, 2 Brilliant.
Let me just double check
based on the teams we have.
So yeah, probably West Salem's number 1 in this, just based on the coaches poll. West Salem's 1, Brilliant's 2.
I don't know how you could.
Yeah, Academy of Science isn't even ranked. Okay. So then you got West Salem against Brilliant.
Yeah.
Okay. And will West Salem win?
Yeah. I think so. I think they zone Lorenz again, turn him into a jump shooter. He'll get his. I think West Salem's got one or two too many guys for Billion.
Fair enough. There's your bulletin board material, brilliant.
Goodness. So come back. This comes back to bite me.
Yeah, well, whatever. All right, let's go to D2. D2. Now we'll start getting to some. I hate. It's like I don't want to shit on like D3, D4, D5, but like this is where it really starts. Getting a little bit more interesting. And sectional 4 is by far the greatest. Is just a. We'll get to it when we.
Can we beg again? Do something about that sectional. Stop.
Yeah,
with arguably 3 of the best 4 teams.
All right, so let's talk about this now. I don't know. Again, I have no problem when stuff is public on Twitter. I have no problem talking about it on podcasts. So when people respond to me, I bring it up. I don't care. So there is let me just bring it up on my phone here. So they talked about it on the pod about what can we do sectional wise? How can we change things? I think there's a ton of different solutions.
This is the Wisconsin Sports Network.
WSN, yep. Travis Wilson and Mark Miller. So this page, which is Wisco Sports page, I don't know if you follow Wisco Sports page. I talked to him on the side here and there just through some messages, whatever. He writes, he sends responds to a tweet about the sectionals and said he did like a map and he did like a splitting up of sectionals. I'm trying to find it right now. It just happened tonight, for God's sakes, and I can't. So he split it up like, okay, here we go. I got it. He splits it up with a map and says, hey, Travis, you asked for a feasible solution. Here's a map of a sectional bracket that splits up the top teams, blah, blah, blah. Travis's response says, there's more than just Division II boys basketball to factor, and there has to be more involved than just splitting up 2 specific teams. To which I say, no, there does not. Why do we have to? Why does there have to be more than splitting up 2 teams? I don't give a shit. Like, I understand that.
I never did either. Like you got, for instance, you got Whitnall playing in sectional 3. What about their location gives them a pass to get out of there over Pius? What are we talking about? 10 miles?
Well, yeah, and I responded once to Travis years ago, and he says something. I feel like he backs the WIA up, but it was something like back then was about traveling. Blah, blah. I mean, look at sectional 1 for D1. There's like people are traveling 3.5, 4 hours, so it's not location. And I've heard
when you're talking about, I mean, why not just mix up? I'm not saying Milwaukee whatever has to go play Rhinelander or something like that.
Right,
but,
agreed.
Why when you get sectional 3s? Madison splashed in with, Racine already. What's the problem with just combining these 2? I mean, they have to drive an hour?
Yeah.
What's the problem?
Well, I take even like location and driving out of, like, here's my thought. Let's say we're at point A and we want to get to point Z, which is like the perfect system. If point B means that we get to split up Pewaukee and Wisconsin Lutheran, then let's fucking do it. Let's just get to fucking point B first. Right. We don't need 25 steps along the way. Let's just start with a baby step and get rid of Pewaukee, Wisconsin Lutheran. They shouldn't be in the same sectional.
And here's the thing: it's killing the state tournament. The crowds are terrible because your state titles are decided in sectionals.
100%. So I don't understand. Like, I get what Travis is trying to say. Like, there's more than involved.
Right.
In that. There doesn't need to be more involved. Just and this can be sectional placement changes every year. Every year it changes in a little bit, right? So look at what you have as the ranked teams, get to the end and go, you know what, we're going to flip it. We're going to take Pewaukee out. We're going to put them over here because it's going to be a better state product. And
you got like teams like why do Whitefish Bay and Grafton and Nicolet? I mean, and I get it that they're more north, and so they're in there with West De Pere, Ashwaubenon, but I mean, that's a drive.
Yeah. You can go through all these sectionals and the drive. I'm done with the driving stuff because that cannot be a reason. Someone had told me once that the way they do it is it represents the entire state of basketball. But the thing is, it doesn't, because like if you look at D1 and those north teams, like Wausau, Stevens Point, Eau Claire, all those teams, whatever, if they're not getting a state, like look at last year D1, you had a Neenah, you had a Fox Valley team, you had 2 teams from basically the Milwaukee area, Falls and BC in Brookfield Central, and then Racine. Like that doesn't represent the state of Wisconsin. If that's what the goal is,
you have one team, or in a terrible scenario, sometimes two teams making it there that have no chance.
Which we might see this year. Which when we get to D1, we'll talk about how
To
lopsided D1
the
is.
WIAA's credit, though, wasn't there a vote, at least in Division One, to move this back to 8 teams? And
I don't know.
I think it. I'm assuming, correct me. If somebody wants to in the chat, correct me if I'm wrong. I believe they voted on it. Now, who voted on it? I don't. Was it a coach vote or WIA vote? Maybe I got that wrong. But it was shot down. I know.
I didn't hear that. I would love it, but
you get at least D1 back to 8 teams. That solves a lot of your problems in terms of what you could do with these sectionals. And it wasn't allowed to go forward to put that extra day.
It's still, even if you go to 8 teams, you're still going to end with 2 teams probably that aren't that great there, because you're going to have a
right. But we're talking about a quarterfinal.
Correct. I agree.
Yeah, and you get 2, and you get 2 more teams that are deserving, and you could split up, the matchups you don't want to see in sectionals.
Yep, I agree. I would love to go to 8. It does solve a lot. But I think it's like, again, it's easy enough to just look at these teams, and everyone knew beginning of the year that Pewaukee, Wisconsin, Lutheran were the best 2 teams. Everyone knew it.
Yeah.
Just split them. And I know Pius is in there too. It's not that hard, and it's like, well, there's more involved. No, there's not. There doesn't need to be. Just do that to start, and then we work on the next thing. It's not that hard. I think we make things so difficult when they really don't need to be that difficult. So, anyways, let's go to D2 sectional 1. So you've got your teams in the west, in the west side, and then you've got Fox Valley, right? So like, you've got a team like Fox Valley Luther that's in Appleton, and then you've got La Crosse Central, 3 hours apart. I mean, they're in the same sectional, but yet we can't split up Wisconsin Lutheran and Pewaukee. It's just mind-numbing to me. Any take on this sectional?
No. I think once again it's probably a 2-team battle. Now Medford's kind of the team that could shake things up a little bit. I haven't seen them. I kind of been watching them, box scores and stuff, but noticing what they're doing, 20-4. They slowly climb my rankings all year. They already played La Crosse Central and lost, and played Onalaska and lost by a similar margin. I probably should have mentioned this one in terms of sectionals that probably got messed up because you lost to Onalaska and La Crosse Central. You're not non-conference. Both La Crosse Central and Onalaska had 1 seed worthy seasons, and they didn't get the nod over that one. But they're probably the team that could do some damage there as the 1 seed. And obviously, once again, Onalaska and La Crosse Central are going to meet before sectional finals to maybe decide who comes out of this. But I think I'm going to go with Onalaska. Really like the 2 guards. Evan Anderson's just blowing up. I think he's going to be a terrific D2 prospect when all is said and done. And they got TJ Stutley, who's a tough matchup as a 6'4", 6'5", kind of point guard wing hybrid, do-it-all type of guy. Isaac Skemp can shoot the rock, and then as always, their coach Greg Kowal does a terrific job of getting guys to just be stars in their role. They got a lot of kids that I'm not a coach or anything, but I'd feel like they're a dream to coach. Just guys that do the little things and really round out that roster and give them depth. So I'm going to go Onalaska coming out of this, but Cross Central's played them well. They've got a really good team. A couple seniors that have been around the block and seen how it's done. And like I said, Medford's played both those 2 close in the past this season. So one of those 3, but I'll go with Onalaska just because I think they got too much firepower at the top.
Yeah. So to give the listeners and viewers an idea, so La Crosse, so we talked in the beginning, right? Computers do it, coaches do it. So coaches poll: La Crosse Central 6, Medford 9, Onalaska 10. And like you said,
Onalaska's 10 in the coaches poll.
Yeah.
All right. I mean, there are 9 better teams than Onalaska in Division 2.
You're saying there are, or they're not?
They're not.
Yeah, they're not. Okay, right. That's what I was thinking.
They beat
same thing.
Who's the West, who's ranked what?
Tulsa West is ranked 3,
Okay,
and then Tosha Central is
it's fine, but
4. Whitnall's 5. Yeah, I mean, again, it's just and then you get La Crosse Central and Alaska playing each other in basically the second game of the. I hate it. I hate it. I absolutely hate it.
they've been doing that for a while. That's
Yeah.
a number one. That's like the P. It's not the same. It's not quite the same, but it sort of has been similar in the past when you had the Davises going against those
Yep.
on Alaska teams. Where,
Yeah.
your regional final was your, at least maybe not state title game, but it was two of the best 5 teams facing right there.
Yeah. So, all right. Sectional 2, you've got the Green Bay area kind of teams, kind of, and then it's just it's a filtered down to the kind of down towards like Sheboygan area. So West Appear is the one, which I think was a bit of a surprise. I think everyone thought Notre Dame would be the one, not West Appear. But nonetheless, West Appear gets the 1, Schwaben on the 3, and then on the bottom half you've got, I think Nicolet is probably the favorite in that sectional. I think they've got one of the best kids in the state, right?
Yeah, this one feels wide open to me. I don't know much. I mean, I know the kids for West Appear and Notre Dame, obviously, but I've never seen them play, so it's tough for me to say. Didn't Andrew Rader get hurt too for Notre Dame?
I don't know that
today.
Okay, I'm not sure.
Okay. You're the Green Bay guy.
Yeah, I'm the FEA more guy. I can probably make a text and find out.
I think he got, if my information's good, it was just in passing. I wasn't trying to report on anything. I assumed it was out there. Here, I'll just look at their last box score, unless he got hurt in that game.
I just sent
He didn't play in their last game on the WIS Sports.
Okay.
And they lost to Schwaben by 11.
Yes, Raider is out. I just got a text, Raider is out.
So that shakes things up even more. I'll go Nicolet. I think they're probably still a year away, but they got Davion Hanna, like you mentioned, top player in this, not only in this, in this sectional, maybe the best prospect in the state right now across all classes. But they got a little more to their team as well. They're still a little young, which is why I'm hesitant to kind of push my chips in there. But obviously, there's not another dominant 1 or 2 seed. I'd say Cedarburg and Whitefish Bay are probably the teams. I don't know if they come out of it, but they're 2 teams that can really shake things up. They've had a couple big upsets here this year. I believe Cedarburg beat Nicolet, if I'm not mistaken already. Whitefish Bay may have 2, and then the Knights are kind of stumbling a little bit down the stretch here. But, you get out of conference, start playing teams that you're not familiar with. I think they could get back to business here. 20-4, won a very good North Shore Conference, but, lost 2 of their last 3. Trying to find another team I like as much as them.
It's just like a really inconsistent. Like I've watched some of these teams, like a Schwaben on West Appear, Notre Dame, the ones we kind of mentioned. It's just an inconsistent year. Like West Appear lost to Menasha. Like, how the hell does that happen? It's just a really, really janky bracket.
I think you got to go with the team that won their league. They won it for a reason. Wait, did they win it? I'm sorry, they didn't win their league. I forget. I don't know why I thought they beat Homestead. They didn't. Finished 1 game back. We're about to win it, and then they lost two out of the last 3. I think lost both conference games. So.
Oh, you talking about Nicolet?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, again, it's Homestead's a top team. I mean, that's
right. It's not. I misspoke and said they won the league.
Oh yeah. No, you're good.
Even Grafton as a 5 seed is scary. I mean, they got 2 Division I players on their team as well. Mike and Juan Guerrero Hernandez that can, you get those 2 rolling at the same time and give them some help. I wouldn't want to see them either. I mean, they took Homestead right down to the wire in their second to last game of the season. I know, both those guys had been injured throughout the year, so or I think McNabb was dealing with an illness, maybe not an injury. So, their 13-11 record's a little deceiving, but I'll take Nicolay and Davion Hanna to get him through. He's got state experience. Was there last year with Milwaukee Academy of Science. Don't feel good about it, but
That's
I
right.
don't know who else to pick.
That's all right. All right, sectional 3.
Oof.
So we got what are we at here? McFarland's the one.
Yeah.
Is a one. West Tosha Central, Whitnall, Stoughton. Again, this is your area. This is all your area of
Yeah.
woods.
I think it comes from the bottom. I would say West Tosha Central or Whitnall. Didn't get a chance to see West Tosha Central, but I know their guard, Elijah Griffin, really well. Talented playmaker, just sees the floor as well as any guard in the state. Expected him to have a breakout year, exactly what he did. Didn't expect West Tosha Central to rebound the way they did, losing a couple of seniors there, and Jack Rose too, who's at UW Green Bay. They went 21-2 and knocked off Burlington for the Southern Lakes title. Burlington was a preseason top 5 team, so they've had a huge unexpected year. But I've seen Whitnall a couple times. I'm going to go with them to make it out of here. I didn't have a great showing last time I was out there against Pewaukee. Played a good 10 minutes, but the things kind of fell apart on them. I think their defense can carry them. I mean, holding Pewaukee to 68 points, as we all know, is no joke. I mean, that team can put up triple digits on any given night, and they've been doing it. And at least, even though Whitnall lost by about 25 or something like that, they did have a pretty good defensive night and, made Nick Janowski and Milan Momcilovic work as hard as, anyone I've seen this season. Whitnall also got a big win over Homestead at home, and they did that without their leading scorer, Austin Hero. Really only hiccup came against West Dallas Hale, who was playing really well early in the season and kind of fell off. But West Dallas Hale, moved into the top 10 with some of the wins, they had. And then they lost to Greenfield. Whitnall was also down a couple guys in that game as well. So I'll take Whitnall, the Hero brothers, Ethan Thomas inside. They got another sophomore guard that's really good too, and Jack Lutz that can score it. Yeah, I don't like riding youth in March, but I think they got the best roster and the best team.
Can you? I'm assuming you can see the comment on the screen, right?
I haven't looked yet. Is it bad?
Oh, you're probably looking at something else. No, somebody commented I heard West Tosha's big is out hurt.
Oh, well then I feel better about my pick.
There you go. Whitnall it is. You're good.
Yeah,
You're good.
I know what I was talking about. I don't worry.
All right, now the state championship before there's actually a state championship. Oh, I cannot believe this.
Are you sure I'm picking one of those two teams?
Yes, I know you are. I absolutely know you are. I'll end the podcast if you're not.
It's Tosa West.
If you would like you want to lose all your credibility, then don't.
I just don't want to leave them out because they're really good.
Who don't you want to leave
and
out?
They might win it. They could win it next year.
Oh, did you say Tosa West?
Yeah, I don't want to leave them out.
Yeah, they're not beating Pewaukee or Wisconsin Lutheran. I mean, Come on.
Well, you said it, not me.
I did. So, I'm fine with that.
I didn't have a choice. You made me pick between those two teams.
I didn't even realize that they were the 3 seed in that sectional. That's how pissed off I was about Pewaukee and Lutheran having to play each other. But all right. So Lutheran's going to get them first if Pius doesn't get Tosa West first before they get to him. So I'm assuming Pius has dropped. I don't know this. Pius, they were like top 5 in the beginning of the year. Did they start losing some games or what?
Well, part of it is they had a win over Pewaukee.
Which Nick was out and Milan was sick. They didn't have their top. Yeah,
Jaquan Johnson didn't play either, if I'm not mistaken. So,
I believe you're right. Yeah.
I mean, I kind of can't take all credit away from them.
Yeah.
But obviously, when both rosters were at full strength, it was a different story. But yeah, they had a rough go of it in late January, I think, where they dropped 4 straight. They also played a loaded schedule. Yeah, 4 was Greenfield, who's might be still top 10 in Division Two, Wisconsin Lutheran, Sussex Hamilton, and Pewaukee. They picked it up recently as of late, won, I think, 6 of 7, and then lost their crossover game in the Woodland. They're a better team than I think people think, but, I think they're still a step or two behind from being able to beat Pewaukee, Wisconsin Lutheran, and maybe even Tulsa West in March.
So, all right. So, it's Wisconsin Lutheran, Pewaukee. We know that. Do you think there's a chance that Wisconsin Lutheran can beat Pewaukee?
Yeah, I wish I would have gone to the first. I never go to the regular season games because I know they're going to play in the last one, sectional final. So I kind of skip them. So I don't quite know what happened. It's hard to beat.
You don't watch them? Do you not watch them live at all? Or
I don't.
Later? Okay.
It's hard. So yeah, you can tell me how they went.
I will.
To beat anybody 3 times. I have a hard time. I think I said this last year. It was a little easier because Pewaukee was so loaded. This year the rosters are a lot closer. I don't know. Can you beat Wisconsin Lutheran 3 times?
I think so. This is what I've realized about those two teams, and I've seen them multiple times. Pewaukee guys know their roles, fit their roles, play their roles really, really well. And I think Lutheran still struggles with that. Like I think Kahn is very underutilized. Like he's one of the best players in the state, and I know he gets a lot of shots and stuff like that. But I think there's just not enough cohesiveness on that team. And where Pewaukee, you watch Pewaukee and you watch the role players, you're like, yep, those guys know what they're doing. They exactly know what they're doing. They know the game plan and they execute it. And Lutheran, it's just sometimes all right, well, maybe we should get Kahn the ball in the next 4 possessions. Might be a good idea.
Now, I don't know if Lutheran has any matchup for Milan. I don't know. I mean, do you put Kahn on him and give up the size and just let Nick Janowski, who's good enough to get 40 against anybody in the state, just let him go? Or do you just throw constant double teams at Milan, take the ball out of his hands, and then pray Pewaukee, who's still a very dangerous 3-point shooting team, and like you said, the cohesiveness and the way they move the ball. I mean, Milan's got no problem kicking out of those double teams, and that ball will just go bing, bang, boom to the shooter. Do you live with that? I think they're still a team that makes you pick your poison too much, even though there's no Josh Tarian, no Ashton Janowski. Pewaukee was still my preseason number 1, even despite all the changes. So, I'm still going to ride with them. I think, you sold me with the role players. I remember that the 2 games I went to, they just find these guys. These guys don't need shots, but when their shots come and their moments come, they deliver. They've always stepped up.
Yeah, I've watched them a few times this year, and it's tough really to get a gauge when they're playing in all these blowouts. But when they came up and played De Pere, and Pewaukee lost. It was a close game though. I was really impressed with their role players. I didn't realize that the role players were actually that good and effective.
Yeah, they had. I went to the Whitnall game. Isaiah Robinson was really good. He's just a sophomore. He's a guy that I could see scoring in double figures next year and being a big part of their team. The Osterman kids, I feel like they've had Ostermans on that roster for 10 years.
They have. There's a 22 Osterman, there's a 23 Osterman, and now there's a 25 Osterman.
Yeah, and I saw 2 of them out there. I'm like, what? Didn't one graduate?
Yeah, the 22 one did. Yeah, there's 2 of them now still.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna stick with Pewaukee.
Yeah, me too.
I like Wisconsin.
I do. I watch them. At the beginning of the year, I said that they were the best team in the state. I saw them when they throttled Neenah, and I'm like, this team is not going to lose a game because I saw all of them at their best, and they shared the ball, and there's no egos. They're just playing, and I think some stuff started seeping in, But I won't put anything past Kahn. Kahn puts that team on his back if they allow him to. Who knows what the hell happens?
Didn't he have 33 in the second one? And it was a 17-point loss. That worries me
Yeah,
because he's gonna need 40.
Well, I've always said
Not that he can't get it.
no,
But he's
yeah,
gonna need 40, and then he's gonna need 2 other guys to be in double figures.
yeah. The thing is, and I've said this on my podcast before, is one player scoring a shitload of points does not lead to team success. It
Right.
just does not. I've watched it firsthand. So I wouldn't think let's get Khan have, I mean, now if Khan has like 60 and it's an absurd amount, you never know. But yeah, you need your second and third guys to do something along with them. But they got to play as a team. It is what it is. Pewaukee going to play as a team. That is one thing we know. They are playing together and as a team. That's going to happen. Wisconsin Lutheran, if they can do that, they have a chance. I just don't know if it's going to happen.
I would like to know the streak Pewaukee has over them too, because I wonder how much of a mental advantage there is.
Yeah, I'm sure. I think it is. I think there is an advantage completely. That they know they can't get over that hump. That they've never got over that.
At this point, it's not. I mean, I think that hunger, the revenge factor is so far out the window when you got a streak like this.
Yeah.
That it becomes, how much of that is mental.
Yeah,
that plays into it. Khan's going to play well. Prentice Young, even if he's not scoring, he's going to be impacting the game in a lot of ways. Jameer Allen's going to get you good looks.
I love Landon Key.
I think it comes down to those bigs. Riley Rindfleisch, maybe even Logan Rindfleisch. Can you bow up defensively and keep Milan off the glass, limit second chance points, stay between him and the basket, and maybe just decrease his efficiency too. What was he in the second game? 10 of 14, 17 rebounds, 29 points. I think that's kind of the X factor then for them, is if those bigs can do something defensively. Because like I said, I think human nature tells you to throw doubles at Milan, but I've seen it time and time again. He's so good passing out of the post, and that team's so connected and has so many shooters, it just backfires. They just don't miss open shots. They don't. You have to play them one-on-one.
Yeah, I know it's unconventional. Maybe I'll ask this question. Maybe someone who's watching knows this. Has anyone done a triangle and two on Milan and Nick? It at some point, right? You got to do something. I know you don't see it often, but people have run box and ones and triangle and twos on teams like that.
Mm-hmm.
Someone in the chat said that Lutheran has won 5-game win streak.
It's only 5. Okay.
Pewaukee 5. I know. I would have thought that it was more like that too. Yeah,
that's surprising.
I thought it was more, but okay. Well, so what's your final four?
I lost track of where.
Who did you already go with? You said Onalaska,
Nicolay,
Whitnall, and Pewaukee.
Whitnall. So we're going.
Well, so who's
the one? Pewaukee, obviously. Is the 2 Whitnall?
Yeah, maybe.
3 Nicolay, 4 Onalaska.
And like we said before, let's think Pewaukee Whitnall championship. Pewaukee just beat him by 20-some. That's how exciting is this? It's not. Although it was fun. I was very surprised that a Schwabenon gave Pewaukee a game last year. That shocked me.
Yeah. I don't know if I was that shocked, but I mean those 2 seniors have played together forever, Tomaszek and
Imig.
Imig.
Yeah.
And they got down, if I'm not mistaken. They had to fight their way back into the game.
I just thought it was going to be like a 20-point blowout, but.
And they got a good coach too.
So Pewaukee's winning it all, right?
This year, though, I mean, Pewaukee isn't as untouchable as they were. I think we know that.
Yeah.
But
they're winning it all, right? That's your pick?
Yes. Again.
Right. Okay.
No drama for me. I'm going to go Pewaukee.
All right. Now let's get to the fun stuff. D1 sectional 1. I don't want to say it's garbage. It's not garbage. It's just a rough sectional. Here's my solution to fixing sectional 1 and 2 in Division One, and you can do this in plenty other divisions and sectionals, is my assumption. Just make floating teams. Every year teams float, and at some point you have to decide whether it's beginning or end of the season, you float which teams. So like what I would do is I would take the De Pere, Green Bay, the De Pere, Bayport, and the 3 Green Bay teams, and I would have put them over into Sectional 1. And I would have taken 5 of the FEA teams, and I would have floated them back over to Sectional 2. And now we have a balanced Sectional 1, and we have a balanced Sectional 2. And we get De Pere going to state, and we get a Fond du Lac or a Homestead, maybe a Kimberly, Kaukauna, Marquette, whatever. They go to state, and then you've got 3 and 4 as well.
You're hired.
Yeah, see, it's not hard. Like, I know that Sectional 1's always going to have Eau Claire, Superior, Marshfield, Stevens Point, Wausau, whatever. That's fine. But just rotate the FEA or Green Bay teams because the travel's the same. There's no difference, really. And you make it so it's balanced. That's
I
my
honestly
solution.
wouldn't care if you just split it half and half in every sectional.
Yeah, that too.
Seed them 1 to 64 or whatever.
Yeah, right. I agree.
I honestly would not care.
Yeah. So that was my
It would not be that bad if you just kept it half and half.
yeah. So that's my solution. At least you could have fixed this year. Last year you would have kept it the same because it was balanced last year. It got screwed in sectional 2 because you had Falls and De Pere that had to play each other in the sectional final. And you had Neenah in the 1, and sectional 1 was loaded because you had Appleton East and Eau Claire Memorial and Kimberly were all good. But this year it's not. It's not great. So thoughts on sectional 1?
It's another one. It's just, part of it is I don't know much about the Eau Claire teams.
Yeah.
I saw Eau Claire Memorial earlier in the season. They played well against Oshkosh North, if I'm not mistaken. That was the matchup.
Yes.
They're a much better team, based on what I've seen from then to now. I think it's one of those sectionals I struggle to just grab a hold of anybody.
It's tough.
I like the 5 Marshfield, to be honest. I don't hate that pick. They got some tough, gritty guys. Brooks Hinson, sophomore point guard, is going to be a heck of a prospect. Maybe borderline D1 kid, at the very least, very good D2 prospect. You got the 3 seed Oshkosh North who beat Wisconsin Lutheran. I know, they're one of those teams that's kind of dealing with, trying to find other sources of offense beyond Xavier Mitchell and Stephen Clark, who's maybe the best young duo in the state. But, can you get enough from everybody else to put you over the top and get you into Madison? I haven't watched Neenah since early in the season, but it looks like they've come back down to earth. Is that right?
You've missed a lot of flopping if you haven't watched them. They flop all the fucking time. Evan, if you listen to my podcast weekly, you'd know this. I hammer on Neenah all the time about flopping. It's so bad. It's off the charts. I get people message me on Twitter. Yes, they flop all the time. It's awful to watch.
Okay. Hortonville's
lost 5 straight.
Okay.
It's going to be an FEA team.
Saying, they've beat some people. I think they're a team you want to see. DC Everest is a 7.
Yeah, does Hall have enough to take this team to state?
And they got a nice little young point guard too. I'm going to go with the 2 Hudson, knowing nothing about them.
Ooh, wow,
nothing.
That's ballsy. The team. Wow. Okay. Well, I don't know.
The Big Rivers.
Ballsy. I don't know if it's too ballsy, actually.
You got Healy's little brother.
Kimberly beat Hudson in the beginning of the year when Kimberly was not a great team. But that's in the beginning of the year, so Hudson's probably a different team too, obviously.
All right. Well,
an FEA team is coming out of this sectional, in my opinion, and I'm terrified that it's going to be Neenah because it would be a terrible representation to have. They're not. It's whatever. Listen to my podcast. You'll hear it.
team. So you think Oshkosh North is coming out of there?
I think Oshkosh North is coming.
Okay.
Here's the thing about none of these teams are good. It's Oshkosh North. You look at their games. When their role players do not do anything, they will lose. That's when they lose their games. If their role players can get even a little, they will win. They beat Wisconsin Lutheran because their role players hit shots. It is the best they've played all year.
It was also the only off night I've ever seen from Con Knippel.
Right. That true too. Yes. It was like a perfect storm. But when Oshkosh North's role players, and I've said it all year, when they hit their shots, they're a top team in the state. They will go to state. That's a team that can go to state. I just don't know if it's going to happen because it's way too inconsistent.
Hudson's defensive minded, and that would worry me against Oshkosh North.
Okay. I mean, like you said, Mitchell and Clark are amazing, but you play more than 2 kids. You can't play 2. You got to play 5. And then
if I didn't go Hudson, I would go Oshkosh North.
And then Appleton North
Hudson plays like these low scoring, gritty.
That's Marshfield. Marshfield does that shit too. Games that are going to be in the 30s or 40s.
And that's not Oshkosh North.
No, it's not. It's not.
For that reason, I think this is a tough sectional for them.
It's very tough. It's tough for everyone. I don't feel comfortable at all or happy at all picking them. I don't want to pick anyone. I mean, Appleton North has won 5 of the last 6 games. They're playing as well as anyone right now. I wouldn't be shocked if they beat Marshfield and then beat Hortonville or Holman and then beat whoever else, Eau Claire Memorial, whoever it is. I would not be shocked at all. I wish they would do this. This is one thing I always like to enjoy. I always enjoyed about the playoffs is that all these teams got to play other teams out of conference. And I hate the fact that you've got like Oshkosh North plays Appleton West right away. And then the next round, we're probably going to have Neenah against Oshkosh North. And I hate it. And that's why I think to myself, Neenah's going to come out of this freaking sectional and just give me a big middle finger.
It might. Well, last game I went to, they beat Oshkosh North, which surprised me.
They're as well coached as anyone.
It's kind of got the same problem as Oshkosh North. Beyond Corso, Klesmint, and Coutard.
He's played well this year.
I went to 2 games, and he was really good in both of them.
They have no size.
There's that. And the Sloman, the point guard, I like him too. He's a smart kid.
They have no size, and no one seems to try to explain.
I'm surprised they're 14-10 because I thought they'd be better.
Yeah, I'm not. You and Miller both thought they'd be better. You and both had.
Yeah, it looked good early.
You and Miller. Oh God, I was so mad at you and Miller.
It looked good.
I think you had him 7th in the state to start the year. I think you had him 7. I think Miller had him 5. I put him like 4th and 5th in the FBA, and I got so much shit about it. And I'm like, they've lost 5 all-conference players. How are they going to be good? Cal was off the entire year, and him and Corso
also down year for the FBA.
Well, I agree with that, but they're part of the down year.
Not the, I don't want to say best player, but
they do not have the best player.
I didn't say. I said I don't want to.
Yeah, and I'm not going to let you say that. Anyways,
you got the most experienced returning scorer. He's a killer.
Who? In Cal? He didn't play last year.
So?
How can he be the most returning scorer? The leading.
You know what? I'm talking about what he's capable of.
I'm not a Neenah. I said it. I do not like.
He
Neenah.
did play last year. I watched him limp onto the Cole Center.
Yeah, he played 20 seconds.
Experience.
He walked on the court.
It matters.
Anyways, yeah, I was never buying the Neenah stuff. They got a great coach. They're one of the best coaches in the state. That's the only thing else. That's after that. They're just down a lot. They lost a lot. So. All right, so you're going Hudson. I'm going Oshkosh North. I hate that I yap about Neenah all the time. It drives me nuts. I love it pisses people off. But
they live in your head rent free.
Yeah, no, I'm fine with that. Gives me podcast content. All right, so you got Hudson. I'm going Oshkosh North, but I honestly I don't feel good about it at all, and it doesn't sound like you feel good either about it.
I don't know anything about it. I know very little about Hudson.
Yeah, you threw a dart. Okay.
I figured that was the move.
So D2 is the easiest, or D2, sorry, sectional 2 is the easiest one to pick the winner, but everything after the winner will be very entertaining. I am assuming you will somewhat agree with that.
Everything after the win, like
We know De Pere's winning, right? We know De Pere's coming out of the sectional, correct?
yeah.
What happens up to that point, we don't know. Like how, like okay, second round matchup, we might have Marquette against Fond du Lac.
Okay.
That's awful for Fond du Lac. I wouldn't like that matchup. Kimberly Homestead possibly second round. Sheboygan North Kaukauna second round. Like there are some really, really, really good second round games in this sectional. And my point is, they're all going to do this, and then one of them is going to get throttled by Neenah to go to state.
Throttled by Neenah. See, rent free.
Sorry, Jesus, wow, throttled by De Pere. Holy hell, man.
Yeah, I don't know if we need to spend a whole lot. I hate doing that, saying it because it's.
I don't think there's a game. I don't think there's a team that can give De Pere a game. Is there?
Homestead.
I
mean, give them a game. Yeah, has Homestead necessarily lived up to expectations? No.
What do you consider? I mean, I guess Pewaukee gave De Pere a game and they lost by 7, but
a chance to win with 5 minutes or less, 10 minutes or less.
There's no one. There is no one. No one. And for De Pere not to come out of the sectional, I don't even want to talk about what would have to happen because it's so astronomically bad. They're gonna waltz. They're gonna sleepwalk through this sectional. I don't think they'll have a game within 15 points. And I wanted to say 20. I mean, they just beat Sheboygan North by 27. Sheboygan North's the 3 seed and second in the conference, I think.
It's March. Anything can happen. So I don't shut. I'm not shutting anybody off. I'm picking De Pere.
I will shut everyone off just to let everyone know. I have no problem doing it. Not with this. Like I said, if they do not come out of the sectional, I don't even want to know what bad has happened. And I'm not, use your imagination. I'm not even just talking injuries. There's a ton of stuff that would have to happen.
Yeah.
All right, sectional 3. Let's do this. Let's go to sectional 4 because sectional 4 is another disaster. And this is.
I think I just took. Who did I take? I already did this.
Kettle Moraine, or is it?
I think I took Muskego.
Muskego. Again, so easy just to combine sectional 3 and 4, correct? Everyone's like an hour and a half from each other. I'm right if my geography is correct.
I think so.
Yeah.
My map in front of me.
So, well, yeah. I mean, I guess this team is going to. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see who's the 4 seed between sectional 1 and sectional 4. So we're going to have probably 2 week semifinal games at state, and then till the championship, which we'll see. We'll talk about in a second. All right, so you got Muskego. I don't think we need to spend too much time, do we? I don't know these teams that well. I really don't.
I mean, it's probably Muskego, Kettle Moraine, Franklin.
Right, the top seeds.
I think they're all pretty even.
Okay.
I mean, Waukesha South had a great year last year. They got the best duo, Danny Robinson and Tyron Cook. But they haven't, been able to recreate that magic that they had last year. So it's tough to pick them. I think Muskego's just, I'll just keep it short and sweet. I think they got a couple of forwards, wing types. They're going to be tough to match up with.
So this is the one, if you look at the ranking, so this was the interesting, right? At one point, and it changed now because Hudson is now 10, where there were 5 ranked teams in sectional 2, and the other 5 ranked teams were in sectional 3. 1 and 4 had no ranked teams. So now sectional 1 does have Hudson's ranked 10th, but sectional 4 has no ranked teams. This is the shit that we're talking about. Like, how can we not even this out? It's way too lopsided.
Yikes. Yeah.
All right, so you got Muskego, whatever. I don't even know who to pick. It really is irrelevant. All right, sectional 3. Sectional 3 I think is interesting. I think sectional 3 is very, very good. What are your thoughts on our favorite team, Madison Memorial, getting the 10 seed.
Can't believe I smiled.
You knew it was coming at some point tonight.
Got caught. It was a setup.
I mean, it's I'm serious though, because that was the one gripe that I heard was that Madison Memorial should have gotten a higher seed than a 10. And their out of conference shit screwed them because they played a bunch of out of conference, out of state teams.
Yeah. I don't understand. I mean, it just came down to overall record, it felt like. And I mean, because Oregon was 17-7. Wanakee had a strong record. I don't think they beat anybody. I went to a couple of their games against high-level matchups, and they got the doors blown off, and they got the 3 seed. Madison LaFollette as an 8 is I'd be really irritated if I was Arrowhead, because that second game is not going to be a cakewalk.
Right. Yep. I thought that was a low seed too.
Assuming they beat Sunbury West, who is also pretty good, and I think beat LaFollette. They got some dudes. So these Badger Conference teams, really got a nice draw.
Didn't Madison Memorial finish second in that conference?
What?
Didn't Madison Memorial finish second in that conference?
I remember it was close down the stretch. Yeah, they did.
That's
second by 5 games, but second.
Yeah.
And they also played. They have one less game in here. They got one tomorrow. They might have one tomorrow. I saw a couple of Big 8 teams are playing tomorrow.
Oh, okay.
So they haven't finished second yet. But
your picks? Well, I mean, they got a bad draw against Brookfield Central right away too.
Yeah, my computer just froze on me. For some reason, you're still going. If it's a rematch of Middleton Arrowhead, which I would guess it would be.
Oh, did they play this year? I didn't know that.
They played last year in regional finals. Middleton won pretty handily. Bennett Basich was hurt. That probably impacted things, but Middleton handled them in Arrowhead. And it's hard for me to get that out of my mind, because Middleton's, I think, a little better than they were last year. They had some young guys that have kind of stepped to the forefront too. I'm going to take Arrowhead because I think they're the one team capable of beating the Pier. But they got a tough road. I think Mac Recchi, Austin Villarreal, Basich, I think that's enough to get them navigating through. I think even you go back to June when they're playing some high school stuff, you just saw a different level of confidence and different level of a team. They played the Pier 3 times in the summer. They all went down to the wire. I think Arrowhead did beat them once. I think I was at all 3 games. So there were 3 really close. And I know it's summer, it doesn't mean a whole lot. You take the coaches out of it, and guys are just playing. But they were really competitive games. So 2 teams that wanted to win. So I'm going to take Arrowhead to get to state. I think the difference this year for them is the Villarreal kid, who's just playing phenomenally. He's outscoring Recchi and Basich on the season. I think that would surprise a lot of people. I think he helps them over the top. Also, like the big kid, Chase Gilbert, who's going to play football at Iowa State, and he's kind of an X-factor guy for him too, and kind of sets the tone in the middle. That could be a difference against a team like Middleton. So I'll take Arrowhead to get there.
I have Arrowhead too. I because of those 3 guys on that team. I don't think they can beat the Pier. I think the Pier is going to win it all. I think that they are the one team in the state that I think could make it somewhat interesting for more than a half of basketball.
I think I can take it all the way. I beat them.
The other, I didn't hear what you said. I don't know if it's your internet or what's. You said your computer froze.
Yeah, hold up. I'm gonna check my computer real quick. You hear me?
You're kind of cutting out. All right, Flood's leaving us for a little bit to fix his computer. So we'll wait till someone had asked me a question I wanted to ask Flood about.
Yeah.
No,
there.
No, I got you.
All right, yeah, just my thing froze. I just need to shut my computer real quick. Sorry.
Okay. I had a question from someone. Thoughts on Milwaukee Hamilton being the most dangerous team in D1?
Dangerous?
It says if their big three share the ball, their speed and height is tough to match.
Yeah. I mean, what my concern about Milwaukee Hamilton would be when you get out of the city conference and every possession starts to matter here in March. Things are more contested, and you're not scoring 100 points a game like they're accustomed to, or 90. Can you win those types of games defensively? I mean, they played against Hamilton, scored 65 points. That's very unlike what Milwaukee Hamilton likes to do. They don't play a lot of on-conference games there in the city, which is very deep conference. You got to play a ton of you got to play a ton of league games. So they haven't necessarily fared all that well out of conference this year. I could see them making sectionals. I mean, get West Dallas Hale. I think that's a dangerous 11 seed. They've got a lot of big wins on their belt. They got really good player Robert Peters, who I think should probably end up at the Division I level. And an experienced guard and Danny Staskunis. If they can get past that one, I think they beat Wanakee to get to sectionals. From there you're looking at Middleton, trying to knock them off. I'm not going to say it's not impossible. They got the guard. I'm blanking on names. Who's the guard for Hamilton? Well, I don't know.
You're asking the wrong guy.
He's too good of a player. I can't just gloss over it. Marion Birch.
Okay.
I mean, he's arguably the best scorer in the state. Loves to get up and down the floor. But I think Middleton's too good of a defensive team to kind of let that happen to them with how Milwaukee Hamilton likes to play. So I don't see him getting out of sectionals, but I could see them being in the second weekend for sure.
Okay. All right, so we both have Arrowhead. I have Arrowhead too, so I know you were kind of cutting out when you were doing your little Arrowhead stuff, but so you think it'll be Arrowhead Middleton is the thought?
Yeah.
Okay. God, see, wouldn't it just be just so much better if that was? I mean, you look at the rankings: De Peers 1, Middleton's 2, Arrowhead's 3. We didn't even talk about Sussex. Did we talk about Sussex at all?
I think I might have been cutting out, or no, I don't remember.
Where is Sussex?
We should talk about Sussex.
Where are they?
They're 5? They don't list them as Sussex. They list them as Hamilton.
Oh, okay. I hate that. I absolutely hate that. Yeah, I mean, Sussex is ranked 4th in the state. We've got 3 of the top 4 teams in one sectional. That's awesome.
They're hot right now too.
Okay. They got Luther. Is that Luther Smith, right? Is that Smith?
1 seed, Arrowhead's got as much as I like Arrowhead and we'll pick them anyway. For a 1 seed, Arrowhead's got an extremely difficult road.
Okay, yeah, Hamilton's got Luther Smith. I remember watching him for years.
Yeah.
Okay. That sucks. It just sucks for these. I mean, Hamilton will get. I would have, but I don't think Verona's good too. They got a tough draw right away.
Yeah, I know Drew Murphy had an ankle injury. I don't know if he's back yet.
Okay.
But that changes them quite a bit if he's not.
I mean, that's one hell of a Final Four in the sectional. Arrowhead, Hamilton.
I'm just laughing looking at the other side. It's Arrowhead, Sussex.
You mean looking at sectional 4?
Milwaukee, yeah.
Yeah. It's
no
a lot of
offense to anybody, but it's different. It's a different deal.
Yeah, and sectional 2 is very similar. Sectional 3 is more loaded in my opinion. If De Peer's obviously top heavy, but I don't know. Any upsets that you can see any of these sectionals in Division 1? I mean, sectional 1 is going to be a flip a coin on half these games. Yeah, I mean, same with sectional 4, but I mean, I guess you kind of touched on some of the teams that could make a run.
Yeah, I mean, I think Marshfield. I wouldn't be surprised if they're in a sectional final as a 5 seed. Mark Marquette obviously is a 7. I think would probably, Vegas were involved, would be favorites over Fond du Lac. By the way, how good is Fond du Lac? I wish I would have went to see him because I saw.
So
I can't believe what they're doing.
They
saw him last year a couple times.
This is what I keep saying on my podcast is that they have no household names aside from Jamari A. Dalton.
Yeah,
but they're really well coached. I don't even know if you want to call them role players, but they all can shoot. So if you look at, they lost a few games down the stretch and played some close games down the stretch, and it's because they went cold. So that's the scary thing is if they have a off shooting night, it will be tough. It'll be tougher for them. They're very good. Dalton is awesome. I'm hoping he should be player of the year in the FEA. He plays both sides. He's probably the best defender in the FEA, along with he was playing. They played Kaukauna on Saturday, and he had like 3 steals in a row. It was like steal dunk. I mean, they're good. They're a very good team, and they're left off to the side because they're not like in the Fox Valley. They're just kind of off to the side,
right.
Down south a little bit. So no one really talks about them, and they haven't won a conference in 22 years. But I just worry that they're relying on the outside shooting a little bit too much.
Okay.
That being said, they've shot well for most of the year. They get hot against. I don't think they can give De Pere a game more. Like I said, I don't think anyone's giving De Pere a game, but no one should be surprised as a 2 seed, of course, that they end up in the sectional final against De Pere.
Okay. Yeah. The other one I'd say, Brookfield Central is a 7. And if you can get past Memorial in the first game, you get Middleton presumably. I don't think anybody in the sectional is going to be able to match up really well with Jack Doherty, who's their 6'7", 6'8" combo forward. And they got some guards that are kind of riding the wave right now, but when those guys are going, they were as good as anybody in the greater metro this year. They've cooled off and kind of need to reset here in March, but obviously a lot of guys with state championship experience from last year, probably a year away in terms of being a state contender, but they're another lower seeded team I think could make a lot of noise in that sectional.
Have you we're just kind of bouncing here. Have you watched much of Kimberly or Kaukauna at all this year?
I caught Kaukauna at Mark Miller's thing.
Oh, okay. WBY, yeah.
Then maybe without Juan Guerrero who got hurt.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
If my memory serves me right.
Yep, you are. I believe you're right too. Yep.
Haven't seen Kim. I saw Kimberly in the summer.
Okay. Kimberly's playing well. I think they've won 6 games straight.
Yeah.
I think all those second round games, provided those are the teams that win, which I think they all will. Those are going to be some really, really good games on Saturday, March 4th. So, but again, it's De Pere. It's De Pere. All right, what is your championship? De Pere and Arrowhead, I'm assuming then?
Yeah.
Yep, that's mine. And you got De Pere?
Yeah.
Will they win by double digits is the question.
No.
Ooh.
I'm telling you, the Arrowhead knows them. They had some battles in the summer. I think this is where I cut out.
You were a little bit, yeah.
They were fierce. I think all 3 of them came right down to the wire, if I'm not mistaken. The only one that may not have, I think, was at Wisconsin team camp. They played twice at Wisconsin team camp.
Oh yeah, I remember that. I remember you. Yep.
And I think Johnny got hurt. So Arrowhead won the first one, I'm pretty sure, and then I think actually De Pere beat them when Johnny got hurt or left, had to go. I can't remember. Then they played at that June Jam thing up in Appleton, and went down to the wire again, and De Pere won. So I don't expect Arrowhead to flinch in that game.
Okay.
I don't know if it'll be. Maybe De Pere pulls away late, possible, but I would expect it to be a game.
Okay. Well, as we get closer to that, we'll see if it plays out, and we'll discuss. All right. That's almost going to do it. One more topic to discuss. We talked about it last year. We're at like an hour and 20 minutes, so we'll wrap up here. It's getting late. Mr. Basketball.
Klesman. Why are you laughing?
I'm assuming it's a two-man race.
Yeah.
Who do you think?
I think you just share it.
What's that?
I think you just share it.
Has that ever been shared before?
Yeah.
Oh, I think I did. Who shared it? I remember seeing that. I went back and was just looking because I was curious. Was it Davis?
Did share it? Did McCabe and Halliburton share it?
No.
It was just McCabe.
Yep.
They shared it recently.
Was one of the Davis or no?
No.
I got it. Hauser and Anderson shared it in 2016.
Yeah. Okay.
And then the year before that, Diamond Stone and Henry Ellison shared it.
I think you just split it.
Yeah, God, Johnny Davis was only 2 years ago.
Best players on best teams in their respective divisions. I mean, if you're just going to go off numbers, obviously Milan's got the edge, but, the team dynamics are so different. And I would venture to guess that DePierre's been in a lot, maybe not a lot, but fewer close games where he's sitting too, where Johnny's sitting. I think you just split it.
How does the voting work? Who votes? Do you know?
They have a panel.
So, I
don't think it's like every coach. It's.
So maybe this is a stupid question.
I think it's some media, some coach, some more of the respected coaches, maybe.
Is it a private vote, or is it a situation where you could get a bunch of people to go, hey, let's just vote this so that it's shared? Like, is it a group that just decides, or is it voting and no one knows what?
Oh,
you know what I mean?
I actually do. Yeah, I actually do think they tally them up.
So that's a problem, right? That's going to be tough to get a shared vote, but I don't know.
Unless you can vote, unless you can vote for share.
Sure, true. That's true.
But I wouldn't try and split the hairs on this one, personally.
Okay.
I mean, think about it. You pick one, the other one, you can't leave one of them out.
I would say it is as close as it possibly could get. I don't know where I would vote. If I was trying to think, I was about to ask you, like, you can't share it, Evan. You got to pick one. Who are you picking? I don't know who I would pick. Like, I mean, you can go, well, Milan is because he's going to a better school, D1, whatever. Johnny's incredible.
Yeah.
And it's not an award who's going to a better school or anything like that. It's, who's the best player in state of Wisconsin for basketball. I don't know.
Fortunately, sometimes it's felt like it's been the kid who didn't turn down or it doesn't go to the kid that turned down Wisconsin. So fortunately, neither of them had that option. Yeah. So we can't get into
good job, Wisconsin.
But I wonder. I don't know who's on the panel or who votes, but anybody who's on Twitter know how toxic that situation is when people get and I can't even mention Milan's name without a fight breaking out between guys who think Wisconsin made a mistake versus guys who think they didn't. That was honestly, if I were Milan, I would be concerned about, okay, I'm going to Iowa State. Let's face it, some guys have been denied this award. For politics.
Yeah, which is that's ridiculous.
Or at least been denied a share of it.
Sure. It's whatever. Too many wrong people making decisions, I guess, if that's the case. If that's what's happening, that's insane to me.
Like I said, fortunately, well, that's the belief. I don't have any proof.
No, I get your point. I know what you're saying.
But that's the rumor.
Sure. I wasn't going to ask this question, but I saw it, and since you're a Badger lover, and
lover,
and you cover them, I just because I mentioned his name and I saw is Johnny Davis going to ever make it in the NBA?
I don't really follow it much. I have no idea what he's doing.
Okay, he's in the G League.
So
All right. I wasn't sure if
got
you had
time. I mean, I think
He
we
has
all
a lot of
thought
time,
he was-
yes.
I think we all thought he was going to be in the G League this year.
I don't know. I don't know if that was a thought. He was a 10th pick, right? 10th pick, 11th pick, 10th pick? I think it was 10th.
A lot of lottery picks go into the G League.
All right, we'll see what happens.
You have to see in 2 or 3 years.
Okay.
What he's doing.
All right, we're going off the rails. Anything else? What game are you going to this weekend? What are your games?
No idea.
You really don't know yet? Or you not want to tell anyone so they follow you and harass you? Do you get harassed?
No.
It's a shame. Do you seriously don't know what games you're going to?
Well,
you really don't have to tell me if you honestly don't want to.
I really don't. The Tuesday, I haven't even.
Oh, I'm not worried about tomorrow.
I have a baby. I don't even know where my next meal is coming from right now.
Well, that's why you
Tuesday.
Kids.
Here, I can. It'll obviously be a Division 1 or 2 game.
I wouldn't. I mean, whatever.
I may not go to one Tuesday.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
I got Badger practice at 5:30. So I'd rather do interviews on that. I don't know. What's the best game set? What's the best game Friday?
I would assume it's going to be in sectional 2 or 3, right?
What division?
Friday. Geez, maybe it's not. I mean, but yeah, I suppose we got to look at other divisions too.
I like Bayport, Milwaukee King. If we're going to have to go Bayport.
Appleton North Marshfield. There you go. There's your game of the week. There's your game on Friday.
Not be it.
You can watch Marshfield try to play in the 30s or 40s. Well, I know you're not going to come up to. You're not going to go to Marshfield. I know that.
Actually, I would consider it. My parents live in Stevens Point now. So
have you ever been to Marshfield's gym?
Yes.
It's awful.
What?
It's enormous. You're like 50 yards from the freaking court.
Well, you are.
Well, you're not. Yeah. Good point. Yeah. My apologies. I forgot you had a different seat. For fans, it's awful. I don't know why they built it like that. That's crazy to me.
I don't know. Who's Tulsa West? No. There's nothing good Saturday. There's nothing good Friday either.
There'll be good games Saturday, but Friday will be rough. Yeah. Oh, I got your Friday game. I got your Friday game's easy.
Is it?
It's Let me just find it. I got to double check. What the hell is it? Sectional. I went to the wrong side.
Marquette's. I can see Marquette's game.
It's our team. It's our favorite team. It's Brookfield Central and Madison Memorial.
No. No one doesn't interest me. Actually, it's in Brookfield, though. The problem is I'm not going to go. I live 15 minutes from Memorial. I'm not going to go to Brookfield for them. It's just a rule I made. Well, you can't be doing that. Who's Sussex playing? I haven't seen Sussex yet. It's the biggest crime of the year for me. Sussex.
They're playing Verona.
And I have to break my rule.
There you go. Well, whatever. Nonetheless, you got time to figure it out, Evan. You'll be fine. No one cares where I'm going to, but I'm going somewhere.
You're going to Kimberly.
I probably will go to Kimberly.
Something.
That'd be easy. Oh, maybe I'll.
You know what? I might have to go just see Fond du Lac just to see him.
Save that for.
It ain't gonna happen. Or actually, that might be the Friday. Fond du Lac Marquette.
Yeah, that's Saturday. Save that for Saturday.
The move. Okay.
That'd be a good game. All right, get some sleep. Go take care of your kid. Your kid out cold for the last 3 hours?
I don't know. I've been down here.
How old is he now?
2.
Jeez, that time flew. Wow. You enjoying it so far?
I'm weird. Well, it was fine until he learned the word no. No.
Doesn't get any easier.
Right.
Does not get any easier. All right. Well, thanks for joining me. I appreciate it. We'll do it again next year for sure. We'll talk again. We'll do another podcast in the summer with AAU and rankings and stuff like that. So,
All right.
but all right, we'll talk to you later, man. Appreciate it. See ya.